Alrighty, okay, so I've been meaning to film this for like days and I've never got around to it because we're kind of in lockdown still. My parents are always here and they don't know I make videos, and I don't really want to have to excuse myself to my room and talk loudly to a camera for them to be thinking, what the hell is that child doing? She's talking to the devil. I have a free moment. I don't think I have very long, but you know, why don't I just tell them? I mean, I would save myself so much hassle if I just told them, but I don't want to. But anyway, I finally had a free moment. The house is free. Mum is currently shopping and my dad is outside, I think. So I put on a bit of makeup. I was doing my hair, which is a little bit wild. I cannot curl my hair to save myself. What is that? That is a tumbleweed. January was not a good reading month for me, honestly. February's not going so great either, but we'll get to February when February ends. January started off not too bad. I decided to start one of the books that I got for Christmas from my parents, which was Blood Orange. I'd been wanting to read this one for a while. I'd seen it just, I didn't know anything about it, what it was about. I seen the cover a lot and I was like, ooh, a damaged marriage, a toxic affair, a dark obsession. I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. So I had no idea what it was actually about, but I just knew that I wanted it. I think it was just the cover. I love that. I love the cover. Alison has it all, a loving family and a career on the rise. She's just been given her first murder case to defend, but all is never as it seems. Criminal barrister Alison Wood drinks too much. She's neglecting her family and her affair with a colleague is getting out of control. Alison's client doesn't deny that she stabbed her husband. She wants to plead guilty, but something about her story is amiss. Saving this woman may be the first step to Alison saving herself. Someone knows Alison's secrets. Someone who wants to make her pay for what she's done and who won't stop until she's lost everything. This book, I can't remember what I gave it. I'll put it on the screen because I can't be arsed looking up right now. I don't think I gave it 5 stars. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was perfect. There were a few twists and turns along the way that some I saw coming. Some that I didn't. The beginning of January feels like a lifetime ago, so I don't really remember. I did like it. I think I enjoyed it. I read it fairly quickly. It's not too long. I think it's about 300 pages or something. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of kind of different twists and turns and things happening, and it was a pretty good book. I don't really remember. I don't remember. I don't even remember what I gave it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I did. I didn't quite give it 5. Or did I? Did I give it 5? I don't know. Either way, I enjoyed it. It lived up to the expectations, even though, I mean, I had high expectations just because I thought it looked interesting. And I'd seen it everywhere, so I assumed that meant it was good. And it was good. It was good. It was fine. I would recommend it if you like. It's not really a mystery. Is that like a thriller? Is that a thriller? Fans of Apple Tree Yard and The Girl on the Train will love this, says The Guardian. So, yeah, I think it falls into like the thriller category. Is it? Is it? I don't know. Moving on to book number 2. This was another book I got for my Christmas that I'd seen everywhere. I mean everywhere. Everybody has been reading this book. Everybody has been reading this book and it's everywhere. And I don't know if that's just because it is written by like a celebrity. I mean, it's somebody that's on TV here in the UK. He's a presenter of like game shows and that, so I feel like he's well known in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else, probably not, but he's like a presenter. So you feel like there is always a lot of hype if a celebrity writes a book. They have a following, so if they say like, oh yeah, buy my book, people are gonna buy it. So it's done well. A record-breaking #1 bestseller. So I should show you what it is. And it is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I had seen this book, like I said, everywhere. Everybody's reading it and I thought I want to read it. I'm excited because I thought I do love a good mystery. It's doing really well, so I thought yes, this might be right up my street. I love a mystery. I will read the synopsis to you. Even the synopsis, like really, it got me excited. I was like, oh. In a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth Joyce, now I couldn't pronounce this third name, I think it's Ibrahim. It's spelled like Ibrahim. I did Google how to pronounce this, but I've already forgotten. I kinda, in my mind, I was just reading this like Ibrahim or Ibrahim. I was thinking Abraham. I was thinking like Abraham. I wasn't quite sure. Anyway. And Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? That to me was like, yes. It's like if Jessica Fletcher, Miss Marple, Poirot, and I need another detective, Sherlock Holmes were all, well, some of them are already older, but if they all lived in a retirement village together at the age of 80 and they were solving mysteries together, I'm like, yes. I feel like that's something, this is something new, this is something refreshing. A group of old people who are quite clever. I'm trying to remember, I think Elizabeth, I had issues with her the most. Elizabeth was like a spy or something. She alluded to what she did, but I could tell she was some sort of like intelligence agent or a spy or whatever. Joyce had been a nurse. Ibrahim was a psychiatrist, and Ron, I think, was like an MP or a counsellor. Why have I already forgotten? He did something like that. He spoke about protesting a lot. I got the impression he was like an MP or a counsellor. I've literally already forgotten. It was something along those lines. Anyway, but I thought this is great, you know, some interesting people. You know, they're in a little retirement village, they're looking into cold cases and trying to solve them. And then yeah, like a murder happens on their doorstep. And I was like, okay, this sounds really interesting, this sounds really new, it'll be refreshing. You know, it's not just a mystery from like somebody's died and it's a police officer solving it, or like a friend of the person who's died is solving it. You know, this is like a gang of, I used to love I'm on a tangent. I love like the Famous Five books and like the Enid Blyton book with all like the kids solving, like I love like gangs coming together to like solve mysteries. So I loved it when it was the kids. I love it even more when it was the older people. I just loved it. I loved that. I felt like it was something new. However, that being said, I'm sorry Richard, but I wasn't a massive fan of the book overall. I am still debating doing an actual review for this. It's kind of going in depth into everything that bothered me. I just think as well, maybe the hype was so great for this book that I went into it thinking this is going to be great, and right from quite early on I was a bit kind of like, oh no, oh no. There were, I'm not going to spoil the book, I'm not going to go into too much detail in case I do decide to make a review, which will probably end up being like an hour long while I sit and rant about it. A few of the issues I had though, I felt like there were too many character perspectives. Every time we met a new character, they would get a chapter told from their perspective, which was all in third person. Every single chapter was in third person, apart from Joyce's chapters, because Joyce's was written as diary entries, which I don't particularly like all that much. Although it's like first person, it's more like second person if it's a diary entry, because you feel like they're talking to you. But the rest of the book was all told in third person from different, from different character perspectives. So I wouldn't have minded so much if it just centered on like the main four. So you could have Joyce's diaries, which fine, and then the other three. And that to me would have been perfect, you know, when there's four main characters, there's four members of the squad club. I feel like it could have just been told from their perspectives. There are ways for characters to find out what's happening without, or there are ways for us to find out what's happening without us needing to have chapters told from said character's perspective. So for example, there's the guy that owns the retirement village, a guy that works for him, another guy that works for him that's kind of like a property developer. We have like two police officers that we had perspectives from, a younger one and an older one. Different people that lived in this little retirement village. There was a priest, and every time we met them, they were very like, a lot of times they were suspicious, and the reason they were so suspicious I think is because we were told chapters from their perspectives and they were doing things that made you question what they were doing, and I feel like there are ways to go about that without having to tell us from their perspective. You know, you could have one of your other characters stumble upon them doing something weird, or have them go. There was a lot of times I just felt we would meet a character and then the next chapter would be told from their perspective, and then something would happen, either something would happen to them directly or just something whatever, and it was like, I don't especially I think when you had the Thursday Murder Club and then you have like the police officers. The police officer knew things The police officers knew things that the Thursday Murder Club didn't. The club knew things that the police didn't, and then other people knew things that other people didn't know, but we knew everything. We as the reader, I as the reader, I was the one reading it, knew everything. And I hate that. I hate when I know that. It's the same even when I watch TV. You know when you watch like a mystery program or anything, something happens and you see what it is and you know, but the main characters or the people that are investigating the murder or whatever's going on don't know. I hate that. I hate when I know things. I'd rather that me and the character were on the same level. I much prefer that. So that bothered me. What else bothered me? I think as well with this book I found that there were times it was trying to be too clever. There was times things kind of, and in the end when you figured out everything that was going on, I was not satisfied with the endings. It was one of those examples where, you know, sometimes like if you're given all the information, even if it's just slipped in, like all it takes is like a eureka moment where somebody says one thing and you're like, wait a minute, and you have like a flashback to something that somebody said a way back in the beginning, and it's like, now I know who the killer is, now I know why this person died or what happened. You know, like those moments. I love them. That's why I love Murder She Wrote so much. I love when they're included in a book, like little bits of information, so then if you remember things or if you're able to put two and two together, and then it's like, I know what happened. But then other times you find that like the information's not given to you. I'm trying to remember what it was. A character seen a photo of somebody, they made a remark and it kind of pushed them in the right direction of to who the killer is, and I was a bit like, I mean, well done to Richard. He made me feel like it was somebody else. I put two and two together and I was like, oh shit, oh snap. But then it was a bit of a red herring. It wasn't who I thought it was going to be, and then it was somebody else. And it was like, I would never been able to solve this mystery because I didn't get all the information. I didn't. How was I supposed to know? That aside, that doesn't really matter too much. I mean, I don't mind it when it's like a kind of like a plot twist that like you're told something at the very last minute, or it happens off page and they figure it out and then they're explaining it and you're kind of like, oh, okay. I wasn't overly satisfied with the ending, to be perfectly honest. Maybe if I do a review, I might do a spoiler review because I really want to talk about things that happened that are definitely like major spoilers. It's something I want to get off my chest, but I'm not going to say it in this video because we ain't got the time. So I can't remember what I gave it. I either gave it 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5, or 4 out of 5. I don't know if I gave it much as 4. Maybe I did give Blood Orange 5 stars. I don't remember. I either gave it 3 stars or I gave it 4 stars. I think I maybe gave it 4 stars because I thought it was well written. Like, it was a well written book. The overall story just... I hyped it up too much. I thought it was going to be a whole lot better, or I thought it was going to be completely different than what it was, and I was a little bit disappointed. There was kind of like gang stuff and drug stuff that was related that I was a little bit like, ugh. And the character of Elizabeth, this is one thing I have to say. Like I said, maybe we were told, maybe I overlooked it. She's basically been some sort of like spy in her life, and I did find a lot of the times I hate characters like this where it's like, if ever they're in a situation or if anything happens, they have a guy. They have a guy who can do this, they have a guy that can do that. I know this person who can totally help us out in this situation and they owe me a favour. Like, I hate those kind of characters that just, they have people owing them favours everywhere, and you know, they need to access records. I know a guy that did that. I helped him out in Germany once and he owes me a favour, so he's gonna let me... no. I hate those kind of characters. I just feel like, you know, you're not really doing any of the work yourself. You're just calling in favours left, right and like, I don't mind if somebody has to call in a favour every now and again, or once in the book. That's fine. I felt like it just happened a lot. I know a guy who could do this, I know a guy who could do that, and it's like, oh my god, Elizabeth. She was a bit too perfect. Anyway, moving on. I'm gonna mention this book, even though I didn't actually read it all in January. If you happen to watch my little reading vlog I posted recently, which was, I'm saying recently, it was a while ago, which was an absolute mess. It was a bit chaotic because I decided I was gonna read a book every day for the last few days of January, and I got off to a good start. I finished the Thursday Murder Club. I read about 200 pages in one day. The next day I was like, okay, I'm going to start a new book, and I'm going to start Half a World Away by Mike Gale. And I was like, yeah, I could totally read this in a day. And then I looked at the size of the pages, the size of the writing, and I was a bit like, it's a little bit petite, but you know, we can persevere with it. I thought maybe I can read it in like a day, maybe two. I think there's 400 pages in this. 300, no there's not. There is 300 and something, but 320 pages. So I was like, okay, if I read about 150 pages in a day, I could do it. I could read it, and then I would still have the time to finish some. I could start something else and finish it, and then I could read 3 books in January. But that's not what happened. I started this, and I think I read the first few chapters, and I was like, okay. I was interested from the start. I was like, okay, I'm into this. And then I think I read about the first 50 pages, and then I just didn't read for the next few days. Story of my life. So I didn't actually finish it in January, but I finished it now. So I think I might just hold on to this one until I'm doing my February wrap. Yeah, I'm gonna just hold on to this one until I'm doing my February wrap up. But I thought I'd mention it, you know, just because I did start something else. I just didn't finish it. And I originally thought like, oh, if I could get it finished, even if I read it all on like the 1st of February, I thought I can just include it in my January wrap up. But I literally only finished it just the other day, so I will not cheat myself. I will not cheat you. I will not pretend I read it in January when I did not. So I only read 50 pages, and of those 50 pages, I mean, I was gripped by it. I was interested. I just couldn't be arsed reading. So yeah, that is all I read in January. 2 books and 50 pages of another. They were good. They were alright. Not really worth the hype. I think I find that with books like this is that people that maybe don't necessarily read an awful lot, no offense, but I'm coming for you, people that don't necessarily read a lot might be more inclined to read it because they know the person who wrote it, or they're just looking for something to read, and they'll read it and be like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is like the best book ever written, oh my god, I was so gripped by it. Or somebody like me who's read quite a lot of mysteries and thrillers and just books in general. So I've read good ones, I've read shit ones, I've read books that are amazing and have completely taken me by surprise, and all the twists and turns I hadn't seen coming, and I love them. So I'm more inclined to maybe be more critical. Like I said that to my mom, I was very critical of this book when I was reading it. There was a lot of times I was picking up on things that I didn't necessarily like. That was something else. Every time characters were talking to each other, they kept using each other's names in a sentence, and I was a little bit like, I remember reading something once about like how to write dialogue, and they said that in real life people don't use each other's names as much as we think they do when like we're writing it down. And I thought it's true. If I'm having a conversation with my friend and it's just her and me one-on-one, I'm not gonna keep saying her name all the time, but I found that they did that a lot whenever they, even when they were in a group. Like I knew who was talking to who without you needing to say their name. Like I knew, I could tell. You were replying to something that they just said. I know you're talking to each other. I don't need you to use their name in the sentence for me to know that that's who they're talking to, or that's who they're addressing. I know, I can tell. It was a lot. It kind of calmed down a little bit later on throughout the book. That was more prominent in the beginning. It was just very much like 2 characters having a conversation, and at the end of every sentence, they just said each other's names, and I was like, stop. It's just you having the conversation with one other person. I know who you're talking to. Anyway, so that was everything I read, and hopefully maybe February will be a lot better. I'm currently reading Jane Eyre. It's the book of the month for the Let's Get Classical readathon. Not readathon, Let's Get Classical book club. And I read the first 3 chapters, so I'm only here. I can do it, I can do this. And at least I've already read 1 book, so that's good. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in my next video. Whatever that may be. Probably my February wrap up, because I just have not been filming at all lately. Like at all. Oops. Oh well. Goodbye.